I want to share with you 4 of my favorite tips for how to be more confident on camera. Chances are you should be producing more videos and should be producing more content. And there's good reason for that. We trust people who we see. I mean, if you think about the people you trust most in your life, they're probably people that you see the most often. And that's why we trust even celebrities, right? We trust them because we're familiar with them. And if you are using your personal brand to grow your business and you want people to trust you, then they need to see you. And video is a great way to do that. But the problem we all struggle with is that fear, right? It is being nervous about being on camera. It's being maybe self conscious about how we look, how we sound, and even what we're going to say. So these 4 tips are 4 of my favorite techniques that have helped me to be more confident on camera. They've helped hundreds of our clients, and now I'm going to give them to you for free. And my favorite one is at the very end. So make sure that you stick around for that. All right, the first tip is to talk to one person, don't talk to lots of people. And one of my favorite stories about this is when I was writing my first book, Take the Stairs, and I had this dream of becoming a best-selling author, and I had all of this pressure on me to write a book that was going to change the world. And everything that I wrote sucked. Or it just wasn't very good. It was very blasé, it was very unimpactful, it was very unemotional. And one night I got a phone call from my brother while I was writing my manuscript. And we had a conversation about something completely unrelated to the book. And after that phone call, I did something accidentally that changed my life. I wrote my advice to my brother. And I wrote that as my manuscript. And that chapter became the buy-in principle of commitment, which is chapter 2 of Take the Stairs, which went on to become a New York Times best-selling book. That was the day that I really became a writer. And I learned the lesson that you don't write to people, you write to a person. The same is true with the camera. Often when we think of a camera, we in our minds, we imagine this like millions of people or this, live TV, or that there's all of these people. And hopefully, if all goes well, lots of people will watch your videos. But don't think of it that way, because even in a large audience, what makes a powerful presentation is when the communicator or the presenter is speaking directly to one person. So when you look at the camera, just pretend it's a person and look right into the camera lens the way that you would look into the eyes of one person. And just focus on changing one person's life. Recently, I spoke at an event that had 5,000 people in the audience. It was huge. And I shared a tip that the way to get invited to speak to 5,000 is to become really good at changing one person's life. How do you become really good at that? You become good at that by practicing to the camera. So don't talk to people, talk to a person. My second tip is something that is also in the realm of reducing pressure on yourself. Here's why content creators often feel pressure. They feel like they're supposed to be really good. They feel like they're supposed to be the expert. They feel like, man, if I'm recording videos, I have to be like the guru. I have to have all of the answers. I have to be the world's leading authority. And here's the thing, you really don't. And when you think you have to be that, it just creates more pressure on yourself, which makes you feel more nervous, which makes you less and less likely to ever push record. So what should you do instead of that? Here's what you should do. Don't focus on being good, focus on being useful. Don't focus on trying to be good, just focus on being useful. When you think, oh, I have to be really good, there's all of this kind of chatter in your head about what that means, and that it has to be perfect, and the lighting has to be a certain way, and your hair has to be perfect, and your outfit. And all of those things are self-centered thoughts. But great content comes not from being self-centered, but from being service-centered. It comes from being audience-focused. And when you're audience-focused, you're just focused on going, how can I be useful to the person on the other side? And that takes a lot of the pressure off. When you're not so concerned, how do I look? How do I sound? Am I saying the right things? And you treat it more as if you're talking to a friend and just going, how can I be useful? So don't focus on being good. Focus on being useful. Before I give you my third tip, I just want to invite you that if you're enjoying this content, make sure you hit subscribe down below so that you don't miss any of the videos and the free content that I'm putting out every single week. All right, here's tip number 3. Tip number 3 is to talk about things you know about. To talk about things you know about. Now, that might seem simple and obvious on the surface, but I'm telling you, it's not. Because most of us feel like we have to present some groundbreaking idea, or we have to be the world's leading thinker on something, or we have to say something that people have never heard before, and you don't. All you have to do is talk about things that you really know something about. So if you find yourself having to memorize, then you're probably doing it wrong. In fact, I was in the World Championship of Public Speaking twice. 2 times in my 20s, I made it to the top 10 in the world. And one of my speech coaches told me, he said, Rory, don't memorize, internalize. Don't memorize, internalize. Now, what's the difference? When you memorize something, you're delivering from your head. You're trying to memorize a sequence of words and a set of information to sort of relay that to other people. When you internalize, you're speaking not from your head, you're speaking from your heart. You're speaking about things you know so much about. You go, I could never forget that because it's part of me. It's part of who I am. It's what I've spent my whole life doing. It's been my hobby for years, or it's been my passion, or I've read dozens of books on it. If you are talking about things that you have to memorize, or if you're talking about things that you risk forgetting what you're talking about, you're probably talking about the wrong things. You probably haven't earned the right to talk about those things because you don't know them that deeply. You don't know them that thoroughly. But when you're a true expert, or when you're truly passionate about a topic or a subject, you're not talking from your head, you're talking from your heart. And that's part of how you know you're doing it right. It also reduces pressure because you're not so scared of forgetting something. Like, how could you forget your name? Or how could you forget, your favorite story growing up as a child? Or how could you forget your favorite sports team? Or how could you forget your favorite food that you eat? You don't forget those things because they're not memorized, they're internalized. They're part of you. The content that you create should also come from the same place. It should come from a place of knowing something so deeply, or being so passionate about a subject that even though you might not say the perfect words, you could never miss the core message of the content because it is part of you. The fourth tip, and this is my favorite tip because this is the most simple and the most tactical of all 4 tips to help you be more confident on camera, is to eliminate the starting point. What do I mean by eliminate the starting point? Let's first talk about why you feel pressure when it comes time to hit record. There is something about hitting the record that makes you feel like, okay, I'm on, like I'm on live TV, I'm in front of the whole world, everybody's watching, and that creates pressure. So when you have that pressure, you procrastinate and you get afraid of that pressure. How do you get comfortable with that? What you do is hit record while you're setting the camera up. Hit record while you're setting up the lighting. Hit record while you're thinking about what you're going to say so that the camera is already on. There's no awkward high pressure starting point. And even what you can do when you're first starting out is just hit record and don't say anything. Just get used to sitting in front of a camera while the camera is recording. Now, obviously, you're not going to probably publish that video. You're not going to do anything with it, but you're going to get comfortable with just the camera recording while you're talking. And this is one of the most powerful parts of content creation. More and more, people want to trust you. They want to know you. They just want to talk to you. They don't want a professional presentation. They don't need the world's greatest camera and lighting and setup. What they want are people who they can trust, who can genuinely help them and who have genuine expertise. And so it doesn't have to be high production, but you do have to get comfortable talking to a camera. You do have to get comfortable talking on record. And most of that pressure will go away if somebody said, oh, we're already recording. The camera's already rolling. Half of the pressure is already gone. So hit record early and then take your time getting comfortable and then just start talking. Talk to the camera the same way you would talk to a person, right? You don't have to go into big presentation mode. Just Talk to the camera the way that you would talk to a friend, or if you're trying to inspire someone or coach someone or teach them, and then stop the recording and edit out all the stuff later that isn't useful to the viewer. The video editor can do that, or you can do that in post-production. So there you have 4 awesome tips to help you be more confident on camera. Don't talk to people, talk to a person. Don't focus on being good, focus on being useful. Don't memorize, internalize, and eliminate the starting point. If you do those 4 things, I promise you'll get more confident. Make sure to let me know your thoughts down below. Which of these 4 techniques was your favorite? And come back soon for more free videos.